Earlier this week, the Disney company announced an audacious plan to release their very own theme park in Abu Dhabi. And I'm here to talk about it and give my opinions on the Abu Dhabi stuff, as well as some other stuff related to this, and just what Disney Imagineering is doing right now, because it's really interesting and kind of a lot and a little bit weird to me what they have been doing lately in their company. And just so you know, you can probably already tell, but this video is 100% unscripted. I'm just going to give some of my thoughts on this, and it's going to be probably like a little bit of a shorter video, just because, you know, Abu Dhabi here, it's such a new thing, and it's also something that we don't have like a whole lot of information on. So we'll go through the concept art a bit, but first I think everybody should know that Disney themselves is actually partnering with Mural. Now, Mural is a local Abu Dhabi company. They, of course, have been the ones to make the Warner Brothers park with the immersive DC world, the Looney Tunes world, the like Flintstones world, all that sort of stuff, the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. And they made Ferrari Land, like the Ferrari park, in Abu Dhabi. So they have two theme parks already under their belt. However, I think some people out there would just look at these parks and go, these are kind of meh, whatever. I think the Warner Brothers one is a decent enough park. I don't think it's a bad park at all. I think it's like a decent enough park, but I could see why some people would say, oh, that's not a great park by any stretch of the imagination. But I personally think that their Warner Brothers world is good. Ferrari World, however, does just kind of feel like your Six Flags standard, just, you know, Six Flags, not super duper big. And then they do have SeaWorld Yas Island that they proudly say that they have, created. And I haven't actually heard a whole lot about SeaWorld Yas Island, but it was completed in 2023. But something to note with every single one of those parks I just mentioned, the majority of those parks are indoors, if not fully indoors. Actually, I think Ferrari World might have a lot of outdoors compared to it, but Warner Brothers Abu Dhabi is indoors. Yas Island SeaWorld, indoors. Ferrari World Yas Island is sort of indoors and sort of outdoors. It has an interesting awning of the Ferrari logo. It's a very interesting look from an aerial view, but it does take you outside, but it's a very Six Flagsy type of a park. And then you have the Disney company, who has announced that they will come in and make something in partnership with Mural, meaning with this deal that they've made, Disney doesn't actually really have to like spend anything on this thing. They're kind of gonna give it to Mural to design and build, or at least build. I guess the Imagineers will be the ones probably behind the designs themselves, but the people that actually get to build this stuff by hand, it seems, will be Mural and whoever Mural employs. Now, of course, social media has a lot of mixed reactions that I think are completely valid. This is a very shocking announcement. I was taken back by this announcement because I don't know about you, but I didn't expect Disney, of all companies, to put a theme park in Abu Dhabi. The reason fans are so bewildered by this is the relation that Disney has with Abu Dhabi has been interesting, to say the least, with the things that Disney likes to promote in their films and the cultural norms over in Abu Dhabi being very, very strict and against the more, you could say, progressive Disney status in some of their films. So it was a very shocking announcement. And also for me, I thought that surely the next Disney park would go in like the UK or somewhere, especially since Universal just announced their new park in the UK, maybe some direct competition. But Disney chose Abu Dhabi, and I do think that there are some positives here. I know I've kind of just said some negatives and just some standard facts, but I do think that there are some positives. First of all, if we look at this concept art, we will see that it looks to be an outdoor park. There do seem to be some, indoor things, and honestly, I'm not even going to take a lot of time to try to dissect the concept art because it is so abstract right now that there is no telling what we have. First of all, the biggest thing is this castle. You can see that it is a very high-tech castle. It looks crystal. Under the castle looks like some sort of a Pandora thing, maybe, I don't know. There is a little thing of Tron in the background here, and what behind that looks to be, I don't even know what. It looks to be like maybe Monstropolis, maybe some sort of a castle, I'm not really sure. There looks to be another bronze spire in the background, almost like as a miniature castle or something, which I do think is very, very interesting, and I have no idea what that's going to be. And then of course you have this Matterhorn mountain or Expedition Everest looking thing off to the right, but everything else just looks bizarre. There's a lot of lush green environments and some like futuristic looking stuff. There's like big domes, and Disney, it seems, will be building, of course, hotels and their own sort of downtown Disney, which I think they've done at every single Disney resort to date. They've given them their own unique downtown Disney or Disney Springs, whatever you have overseas, which, you know, is good to accompany this park. Now, I do have to say, this announcement kind of annoyed me, going back to the negatives just for a minute, because of Disneyland Forward. Now, I understand that Abu Dhabi will probably not be created until at least 10 to 15 years. We will not see this thing open, because the Disney company has very proudly said that they are going to give us the authentic Disney experience with very authentic Abu Dhabi culture, which includes technology. Abu Dhabi and Dubai, this entire like area, very, very culturally relevant with technology, and very much so pushing the boundaries, which is a positive and is cool to see Disney, you know, branch out into more high-tech areas. And I understand that that'll take time and everything to make, but I'm also a little bit bummed out because we haven't heard a whole lot on Disneyland Forward. Now, I don't live in California anymore, but I would like to see my, you know, original park, the one that I loved the most, and I guess went to the most out of any theme park, get some love and get the third gate. If you are unaware, Disneyland Forward was something pushed, I think in 2021 or 2022, very randomly by the Disney company, and I don't even think they like proudly announced this. I think this was more of like a leak. I could be totally wrong, but I think they've embraced it over time if it was a leak. I can't remember if the company actually came out and said, we're doing this. They might have, though, because they might have been trying to pressure some areas around Anaheim to sign on to this thing. And then, of course, there was a big battle with the Anaheim like local government on whether or not this would actually be approved. And Disneyland Forward is something that we have literally no idea what that thing is going to be. The concept art does look cool, but it's also one of those things that, like, they just announced a bunch of stuff for California at D23, such as a Coco ride, which is supposed to be in California Adventure, Avatar, which I don't even think said California Adventure, so some people were speculating, oh, is that a Disneyland Forward brand new Pandora? Who knows? Who knows when that's going to be built? Who knows when Disneyland Forward is going forward? Who knows if it's even going to be a full-on third gate? There's a really big possibility that is just a downtown Disney, meaning that they might do something totally different with the actual downtown Disney, or for some odd reason they're going to just have like two types of downtown Disneys, or they're just going to emulate Disney Springs there. I would rather them focus on one thing at a time, not one thing at a time, but one major development at a time, because announcing a brand new resort is cool and all, and I do think it's been time. It's been enough time that they need a brand new resort in the world. Abu Dhabi is definitely an interesting placement. There's pros and a lot of cons to this, but I just want to see my Disneyland Forward get built, if I'm being honest. Another thing I do have to say is the Disneyland company the Disney company rather has continually been pushing Cotino. Disney Parks has been pushing this Cotino thing forever. Cotino, if you guys do not know, is a brand new living environment. Yes, you heard that right. Living environment. It is a neighborhood. It is a special, premium, top tier gated community type deal. Well, not, like gated, but I mean, it might have a gate, but it's more than just a gated community. It looks like a resort that you live at forever. You buy a home there, you have a great living community, and that's something that Disney wants to do. Disney's been promoting Cotino for I think now 2 or 3 years, and it's been bizarre. It's kind of been bizarre. It's kind of rubbed a lot of the Disney fan base the wrong way, because it's just housing development. It's it's just residential housing, and it's taken forever because of the pandemic and building permits and everything. And now they're still going to go forward with this thing. It looks like they're actually going to be able to open this thing this year or next year, but I mean, it's going to be like $1 million homes for the uber ultra rich to go and live here and live in a Disney themed environment. But it's also Cotino. It's a loosely Disney themed environment. It's a very odd thing that Disney's expanding into. And you might be saying to yourself, well, hey, they're not doing this all over the country. And to that, I turn your attention to North Carolina, because my friend sent me this the other day and I had to fact check this. Now, I just looked this up, and this, I don't even know when they announced this. I don't remember them announcing this ever. I don't think anybody's talked about Asteria, a story living by Disney community, which is the brand that they're doing Cotino under. I don't know if you know this, but I do live in North Carolina as of now, and Disney has said that they are going to build a new home community just outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, the capital, that will house these beautiful homes. And the reaction online was as you would expect. A lot of local North Carolina people, North Carolinians, such as myself, have been honestly very dissatisfied with how this state has been going. It's been a lot of urbanization, like a lot of houses being built and getting rid of the actually amazing and beautiful trees and wildlife here. And Disney seems to be doing the same thing with this, which I don't know. I haven't seen this, like our area of Raleigh, North Carolina. Maybe there's land that they're going to build on top of that isn't 100% trees, but it's North Carolina. And there's trees everywhere. Now, on their website, it says that sales are anticipated to begin in 2027. And if you actually go to the communities tab on Story Living by Disney, you will see quite a few different ones. We have Rancho Mirage, California, Pittsboro, North Carolina, which are the two, Cotino and Asteria. Rancho Mirage is going to be insane. They already are saying 1 million, upper 1 million to lower 2 million for these homes. That's insane. Cotino is supposed to, I think, actually start selling like now. In fact, I think you can actually start looking into the homes. Yeah, you could start looking into the homes. They're going to be opening this year. And look, Cotino looks great. Nobody's going to deny that fact, and nobody's going to deny Asteria looking amazing. But come on, Disney. We're getting very greedy here, I think, with our housing development projects. And Abu Dhabi is already looking problematic enough, because I forgot to mention this, but Mural and this company of Mural and a lot of the themed entertainment projects apparently in Abu Dhabi have a horrible track record of being announced and then never built. A lot of people are already banking on the fact that Abu Dhabi is not going to be built, and that the Disney company will inevitably in like 5 years, maybe less, be just like, oh, we're moving the deadline down. And they didn't give us a deadline, which is probably wise for Disney, but they gotta give us a deadline sooner than later. And if we don't see progress in like 5 years, I think it's safe to assume this park is toast, because there's already a track record of some themed entertainment areas that didn't go so well. But that's really all I have to say, which is really just my video on Abu Dhabi, Disneyland Forward, and Cotino and the Disney communities. In fact, I probably will make a video on the Disney communities, deep diving into the pros and cons of this later on, because I think it's a very interesting area that Disney wants to expand into. And I'm wondering whose idea this was, because I don't think it was Iger. I think it actually was probably Bob Chapek during the Chapek era, the dreaded Chapek era, that had this idea. But there are some pros and cons, but I'm just saying, there could be a lot better resources, like Disney right now is making the entire like South America land in Animal Kingdom. That's great. That's supposed to open in 2027. They said recently they're trying to open that land in 2027, which is great. D23 gave us announcements of like the Pirates Bar, which is a small thing, but it's going to open like this year or next year. Or we're supposed to get Monsters Inc. land, like all those cool D23 announcements. They sounded fun and cool. And then Abu Dhabi is announced, and I'm like, well, I get that Disney isn't having Imagineers going over there to build this thing. They're just kind of designing it, but they do still have to oversee this, which is the final point before I do sign off. A lot of people have noticed that, Abu Dhabi and their laws on labor, they don't exactly fit the United States labor laws, and that is going to be problematic, I think, for Disney. Although I think Disney will be able to cover that one up kind of easily. It's not a good thing, but it is expected of the Disney company, and honestly, at this point, I don't know how much leverage they have with Mural and how they treat their people, and of course with the government in Abu Dhabi and how they have labor laws. I don't think Disney can leverage a whole lot there, but I would hope that Bob Iger tried to negotiate that with Josh D'Amaro and Bob Iger with the government. But that's all I have to say about this. I am excited about Abu Dhabi. I do think that it is a bit concerning, and I don't know if we'll ever actually see this thing. As for the Disney Story Living communities, or Story Living by Disney communities, I have more thoughts on those. And Disneyland Forward, I really want to see by like 2030, but we may never see that. But with that being said, come back next week for me ranking all Disneyland rides and attractions, as well as the week after that, Disneyland California Adventure rides and attractions. And see you guys next time. Peace out.